Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm seeing quite a number of individuals still joining us as we begin, and it's really a great opportunity for us to be able to interact like this once again. I know since the pandemic began, there has been a lot of um, re recalibration regarding how individual journalists carry out their practices. And we've also seen instances where individuals or journalists that weren't in the health sector before had to actively switch to health journalism. And so many career changes are happening in real time. And as the year goes to an end, I considered it quite important and very relevant for us to also, for me to bring attention to how journalists in different parts of the world who are interested in seeking out new opportunities can actually go about it. So the ICFJ Global Health Crisis Reporting Forum is an initiative that is geared towards helping journalists in different parts of the world to improve and polish their health reporting skills and to also advance their individual journalism careers. And if you're joining us on the Zoom platform and you have any burning question regarding career changes, or career guidance or career progression, I encourage you to use the Q&A option on the Zoom platform for your questions. Considering the nature and of this discussion, I expect us to have quite a number of conversations already. Please use the Q&A only for your questions, but you can continue to interact using the chat button. And if you are joining us on the Facebook live stream, I encourage you, if you have any burning question, any comment that you would like to make, I encourage you to use the chat box under the comment box under the live video that you are watching right now. And without wasting much of your time, I would like to start. Thank you. Before I start, I think I can engage. We are seeing participants from different parts of the world, from Kenya. Thanks for joining us, Robert. Monica, thanks for joining us from Spain. Gloria, we are glad to have you with us from Uganda. Hashim, thanks for joining us from France. Hawkins, we are glad you can join us from Washington, D.C. And Monica from Italy. Olushei, how are you doing? And Terry, everybody that is here, irrespective of where you are joining us from, it's really important. We are glad that you could make it well to join us today. And I hope my intention for today is to have an elaborate and interactive conversation. I don't want this to be like a static one-way dialogue. So please, if I'm saying anything or if I'm making any points that you even disagree with, let me know your view on this, and so that we can have a more robust discussion. And so I think I can start the slides now. It's been a while I prepared a presentation slide, but I think because of how passionate I am about ensuring that journalists get the best positions, I've been able to actually put my thoughts together into this presentation. So please follow me and let's see how far we can go on this discussion. So the goal for today is for me to show you how I do my journalism job hunt. And even though you know me as a journalist, as the community manager for the ICFJ, I'm also actively involved in journalism. I report for several media organizations as top as I've been able to write for platforms like the CNN, the Business Insider, QZ, and even top health and science outlets like the Lancet, Nature, New Scientist, even I'm a regular contributor for DevX. And over the years, I've been I've been, let me say, lucky to find myself probably at the right time and talking to the right people, saying the right things in order for me to be able to get these positions. And I believe that maybe one or two things you can, if you are struggling in advancing your careers, you should be able to also get one or two things from today's dialogue. And so please take, you don't have to agree with everything I say, but please, you can take as much as you can from what I consider works for me. So I think it's important for us to establish the fact that before you start uh, putting yourself out there, I always have this belief, perspective about job hunting, that you have to you have to know some housekeeping rules, which is because I consider it better for people out there, for the ecosystem, for editors, for those that will commission you to write stories, not to know you. If you've not been, if you've not presented, if you are not been able to package yourself well, than for them to know you and you have a negative, they have a negative tag for you. So before you jump out there, let's have an introspection. Ask yourself a couple of questions. Be truly honest to yourself about a number of things before getting yourself out there. The first thing that I think is important is know your level, know where you are as a journalist. It's really good to be optimistic. It's really important to be ambitious. But I think when you know you are not where you are not, what you are not yet capable of. Yeah, aspiration is good, being ambitious is good, but also be truly honest with yourself about the kinds of tasks that you can take on. Because once you know that, okay, this is the level I am in my journalism career, then it's much easier for you to actually make that progression and be able to actually attract the right audience for you. So be honest with yourself, know the level you are as a journalist. For instance, if you are just in journalism, if you are just in journalism school, you've not had any bylines in anything, and you're already trying, you're already hiring the globally leading outlets on those subject areas. You may, yeah, luck, you can be lucky and get, but in the real sense, that is always rare exception. So what I will encourage you to do is that be very, very honest with yourself regarding the level where you are in your journalism career. The next thing that I also want you to be aware of is that identify the bits you can prove that you can report on. For instance, journalism is very wide. We have developments, we have health, we have science, we have education, we have tourism, we have security, we have entertainment, we have sports, we have agriculture, we have religion, so many, we have social issues, we have crime, so many bits available. So if you are a journalist that today you are, there is a vacancy for criminal journalists, you're already applying. There is a fashion magazine is also looking for a journalist. You are also first in line to apply. You are just jumping from one beat to another. It will be very difficult or almost impossible for you to be able to carve a niche for yourself in journalism. And I won't lie to you, carving a niche for yourself in journalism is actually one of the best things you can ever do to yourself, because there is no niche that would not always have that need, that gap for well written for well-experienced and thorough and super focused and laser-focused journalists, not journalists that are wandering from one bit to another. So know the bit you can cover, that when your name is mentioned, is connected with a particular bit. I know that is difficult. That can be difficult for many freelance journalists like me. But we should always be able to say, okay, this is what I'm known for. Then another thing that I've also noticed is that many journalists are always among the name, among the last to apply for positions. For positions. For instance, if an opportunity is announced today, and they say that it's going to take like a week or 2 weeks, a deadline, and you are now waiting for the end of that 2 weeks, believe me, except they've not been able to get very, very good journalists to apply, then it may be very, very difficult for you to get such kinds of positions. So I know it's difficult in areas where there is limited internet access, but you have to position yourself such that you can, because if you are somebody that immediately you are able to quickly submit your application, then you can actually convince, they can have an impression about you of somebody that will be readily available. For instance, if there is a need for edits, not somebody that they would send a message to today, and that person will take several days to respond. So I have a machinery, I have a mechanism, I have a system, and have an approach that enables you to quickly respond, to quickly apply, and to quickly respond to comments or emails regarding your application. If you are not doing that, for someone like me, if you send me an email, it's possible for me to actually reply you under 1 second. Just to confirm that, yes, I'm available to do this. But if you have to wait for days, always remember that almost all of us are in the same market. We are competing for the same opportunities. We are trying to access the same set of resources. So if you are dragging along, if you are not able to quickly apply to positions, if you are not responding, even if you are a very good journalist, don't forget there is always a deadline. Every editor is working with a tight time plan for their respective service. So please always ensure that you are amongst the first set to apply. Before I leave this point, I remember some months ago when I tried to engage some writers to help out, to be writing reports for the HighJNet platform, and I posted the call for writers, and immediately I started receiving applications, and really, really impressive. But by the time decisions had already been made, and some were actually still submitting several days after, when the decisions have already been made. So please, I cannot stress it more than enough. If you apply early, you always give the impression that you are up and doing, and you are somebody that can be easily reached, especially considering that you are not going to, many times it will be a remote position, so you will not be able to quickly do it. So please be ahead of the pack to be able to apply early and respond early. So another thing I have in my experience as a journalist is the need for you to know the editor really well. For instance, I work with different editors, and different editors have entirely different sets of rules that they how they picture their stories. I know editors that would allow me to turn a 400-word commissioned piece into something like 1,200 words. Once they like it, they do. But I also have editors that already know what they are looking for. So you have to abide with whatever they have in mind and give them exactly what they are looking for. So please and please, so before you just say, okay, before you send out stubs before you send expression of interest or inquiries across to editors, please and please endeavor to really know who this editor is. It's not something that is hard to do. If you are looking for an editor, you can just simply Google the name of their publication. For instance, if I'm looking for the editor of IJNet, you just search for editor of IJNet, and the name will come up, and try and gather as much information as you can about what that person is. And before I leave that point, if you go on Twitter, you will be able to see many editors actually trying to explain what they want, trying to express their frustrations with writers or with journalists that they work with. So by reading their rants, by reading their comments, you'll be able to actually understand what you are doing wrong as a person, as a journalist, and you'll be able to really, really adjust it. So it's really, really important for you to have a better understanding of who the editor is. I know it may take some time trying to get off the ground, trying to set these things out, but I won't lie to you, these rules are really, really important for you to actually succeed in your journalism career. Okay, I think, yeah, don't worry. We are going to get the recordings across. Okay, Ashim, I'm going to get your question very soon. Okay. Then another thing that I've learned is as a journalist, endeavor to be somebody that is easy to work with. For instance, sometimes you go on social media, you see how some journalists are always ranting, accusing editors. This editor did this to me. Even in situations where those concerns are valid, I think every editor, every media organization, there is always the right way to channel grievances. If you need further clarification, endeavor, you can always get it before resulting into social media shaming, because those editors also have colleagues that will be looking at you whether you're professional in the way you handle things. I've also seen cases where actually some of the editors I've worked with before, I've actually reported express their frustrations about fellow other journalists that they are trying to commission, who are extremely difficult. Some will be difficult to guide and to edit their work. Some take time, lots of time, waste their time before getting their copies across. So please and please, look at yourself and put yourself in the editor's shoes, whether you will be someone they would like to work with. Because yes, you can get your first commission, you can get your first assignment from an editor, but the editor will not come back to you if the editor went through hell working with you in the first instance. So make yourself to be somebody that editors can easily work with. So that point is also important. And another thing is that always be prepared for rejections. You are going to get lots of rejections, and that's okay, because you cannot get every opportunity. So when you don't get an opportunity, don't see it from the perspective of you've been cheated. Don't see it from the perspective of maybe there was something wrong with you, or maybe the system was rigged against you. Most of the time, always look at it from the perspective. If you have this mindset that, well, I cannot get all the positions, then it becomes much more easier. That's my approach. If I get turned down by if my approach, if my application, if my inquiry gets turned down, I won't be super hard on myself and beat myself down. Instead, I will tell myself, we have this opportunity has probably gone to a colleague of mine. Then I move on. So please know that you may not be able to get every position, and it's absolutely fine for you not to get it. You are going to get your own. And another advice I always tell my colleagues is maybe you should not be applying for everything. Let me give you an instance. Let's go back to that experience that I shared of that call. We needed writers, and somebody that doesn't write at all, that shoots video, that records, that works on camera, was also applying. Somebody that had never written a story before was sending an application to be considered for that position. Uh, I don't think that is applicable. And in addition to you most likely getting rejected for that position, I think those that will be considering your application may begin to see you that you are not a serious person. They may not take you seriously. So please and please find the scrutiny, find a pruning system, find an editing sorting system to be able to affirmatively decide which opportunity is for you and which one you should just let go. And when you're able to do this, you will be able to conserve and properly channel your energy, effort, and resources into ensuring that you package a top quality application for those that you strongly believe are for you. So please and please, I know opportunities, we all look for opportunities, but we are not all for opportunity, for all the opportunities. You are just for the opportunity that you are duly, properly, and peculiarly qualified for. So please and please don't subject yourself to so many fatigue, because as you will see subsequently, you will understand that this is an intensive and highly rigorous process. So please, please don't apply for everything. Then you should also sound convincing in your application. It's really, really important so that let the person that is going to review your application know that this person is really, really serious. Yes, this is a person that has really taken time to study this application and what we're actually looking for, and has really been able to prepare his or their application towards that. Is really, really important. And so please, there are some laziness signs in journalistic applications that we see. For instance, many mistakes that some journalists would make is the fact that they would have submitted an application, designed one that they think is in the proper format, and they will now be sending it to multiple outlets. Sometimes in an attempt to you can actually copy the name of a previous of an editor that you wrote an email to, a previous email to, and that's because they are just Control C and Control V, Control copy and pasting. When you're just copying and pasting, you can actually paste the wrong name. So it's really, really important for you to ensure that, and when you send such a mail like that, even when you send corrections, it simply means that you did not do a thorough job. So you did not even take out time to study very well and ensure that your application was in order before you actually sent it out. So it's important for you to take your time. If writing to getting lots of pages seems to be the problem, you can keep it short, concise, and precise. Straight to the point, such that it becomes something that can be easily reproduced when you are trying to apply for subsequent positions. So yeah, so this is my Twitter page, and as you can see, I think I have several vast experiences across different outlets. So the reason why I started with what I just started was the fact that opportunities are everywhere. There are lots of opportunities. They are ubiquitous. They are cosmopolitan. They are everywhere. So, but many times, I don't think lack of information regarding opportunities may not be the problem. I think most of the time is the way we are applying, is the way you are applying, and the kinds of stuff you're applying to, and probably something continues to be wrong with your application. For instance, in one of the submissions that I received, the person was that I said was the person that applied for that position was trying to was saying that, okay, I'm the right for this. Okay, we said, okay, send samples, answer these 4 questions. The person did not take time to study the questions and respond to the questions. The person just sent the answer, the links to me. So automatically, such kind of person will not be considered. So opportunities are everywhere. Uh, Opportunities are everywhere, but you are the one that needs to be intentional about how you apply and you structure it. Don't worry, I'll give you resources. So this is how I personally get my own opportunities. The first aspect, channel that I get opportunities from, some are really, really offline. I'm talking about not based on interactions. Let me give you an instance. I'm a regular contributor for DevX, and this was how my DevX journalism experience started. I was at a conference I went to attend a conference in Rwanda, and on the sideline, the DevX was having one of the side events at that session. So I checked out DevX as a development news platform. So immediately at the end of the event of the session, I approached the representatives from DevX. It wasn't even an editor. It was a communication specialist that came from DevX. And I approached her, we interacted, we talked. I told her about my interest in writing for the outlet. And she responded that they were also actually in search for content and stories from Africa. So it became a need. They had a need. I also had a need. And she promised to introduce me to those that are in charge, the editorial team. When after the conference, I kept in touch. It took some time, but eventually we got everything started. And today I still continue to benefit from that sideline interaction. So please and please try and be your own marketers. Try and be your own seller. You sell your brand. You are a journalist. At events, anytime you get to interact with people, with editors or media organizations that you think are the best for you, you don't have to wait until there wasn't a call for applications. I reached out, and things were in my favor, and it was really, really fun. It has also, so please, it's something you can do. I used to be very timid. I wasn't this vocal. I used to be extremely shy, and but when it comes to marketing yourself, nobody should be able to market you more than yourself. So when you see an editor from a news outlet that you desire to work with, even if there is no call for application, editors are always in search of very unique and very good stories. And they know that it's only writers in that neighborhood, in those areas that are closer to the center of attention, that will be able to give them those kinds of stories. So please and please confidently walk up to them and introduce yourself, and you should be able to and see where the conversations can lead you. So the second thing that works in my favor, I would say, would be recommendations. For instance, if I've worked with an editor in the past and is no longer in that media establishment, or a new opportunity comes up, and because this person knows that, yes, this guy, this writer is very, very good at what he does, I always am able to actually get those kinds of recommendations. So please, and please endeavor to uh, prioritize relationships. Don't just see Um, I'm not saying you should be best pals. I'm just saying always be cordial with everybody, be mutually respectful, so that you cannot be aware of every opportunity. So many opportunities I've gotten like that because someone somewhere recommended me. One of the magazines one of the highest paying gigs that I still have. Um, this I it was the editor reached out to me that somebody recommended me for that position. Until today, I cannot even say who that person that recommended me for that position was. So please and please, getting recommendations would actually help you in a long way in advancing your career. And another thing that has this was actually very recent for me, which is, there is a way we search for positions. You know where I'm still going to take you to, you know the website I'm still going to take you to. But like this was quite recent for me. About 2 months ago, I got wind of a paid newsletter subscription service, and this person curating that for journalists. So what the person does is that uh, the person combs the internet for opportunities and shares with subscribers to the newsletter service. Because I said I'm going to provide every tool, this person is not, the person that owns the newsletter service is not even aware that I'm sharing this, but because it's something that has been effective and useful for me, I think it is worth sharing. But it's a paid service, but it's very, very cheap. I tried it out. Uh, I got commissioned a position. Uh, if you've read, there was a piece I wrote for Business Insider. The information about that opportunity was gotten from that newsletter, and it was quite cheap. I think about £1. I'm not sure. Very cheap per month. So instead of you combing the internet, so that subscription-based service actually does the job for you and provides access to it. So I'm trying to load it so that I will show you what the outlook looks like, and so that you will understand the fact that you don't really need to actually take yourself through. Yes, I think I have it. I have one for you. Resume share. Okay, new share. I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is the newsletter I'm talking about. So as you can see, a freelance author, journalist, and right judge. So latest, I think this one was sent yesterday. So as you can see, it's well categorized. You know the kinds of, so normally some people will just apply for everything and will just stress yourself out. But for me, the approach I take is that I now look at them closely enough, one after another, so that I can actually now decide which one works for me. So I think the person curating this is really, really good, and it's something I recommend. So, I'll get you the link. Okay, I'm not sure if you, so that's something that I would really, really recommend is the page. Yeah, I'm trying to see too. I'm trying to see how I can share with you. I think it's on Substack. So you just, I used to be very hands-on on searching for new opportunities, but since I got these persons paid newsletter, yeah, I've gotten the link. Yeah, so, okay, sorry, I think I want it to be for everyone. So it's really, really, um, it's a really good service. So it's the person just curates and searches for opportunities for you, and you can just get on with it. So it really works. So back to my presentation. So that is an approach, and I got that. So compared to the kinds of positions you can get. So the next one is online. As you can see, there are lots of online channels. So I will quickly take you through some of them. And IJNet is highly recommended. Even before I joined ICFJ, I've benefited from lots of opportunities. I remember a training opportunity I got to attend a journalism training program in the UK. It was through IJNet that I saw that announcement. And for me, let me show you how my workflow is. So normally, I think every Monday, if I'm right, in the afternoon, Nigerian time, IJNet sends a newsletter in which there is a main, there are some main topics, stories that are relevant for journalists, and below it are opportunities. So if I'll confess, I usually skip the story aspect and I'll just go straight to the opportunities, because it's really, really well done. And so I just search for it. So if you're not subscribing to the IJNet newsletter, please do. It's really, really, really a useful newsletter if you're in search for opportunities. So when you go to the newsletter, I'm trying to, yes, I think I've seen it. I want to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, the IJNet newsletter. Yes, I'm sharing my screen now, don't worry. So I think this was the most recent newsletter that IJNet sent. So the newsletter comes like this. But for me, I'll just scroll like this. Okay, yes, we like it. These are relevant stories. And yeah, this is my favorite section of the newsletter, new opportunities by regions. So you can actually see opportunities broken down into regions in the IJNet newsletter. If I'm right, I think it goes out on Mondays. So please subscribe. It's totally free. So this newsletter service is absolutely free. As you can see, there's even the deadline for submission. It's meticulously curated, and it's something I've used a lot of times to be able to actually get opportunities. And it really, really works for me. As you can see, it is broken down into regions. Whichever part of the world you are from, you will actually be able to see opportunities for yourself. And so once in a while, every Monday, I use this. I just scan through because I'm in Africa. Two categories are important for me: the worldwide, the ones that anybody anywhere can apply for. I check these out, and also I look at the Africa section. So because I'm not in Asia Pacific, I won't even go here. Because I'm not in Europe, I won't even go here. So for me, my IJNet search stops here after this. So, but if you are still, there is another way for maximizing IJNet's platform. So the other approach is to actually go to IJNet's website itself. So this is the website of IJNet, ijnet.org. And so when you look at IJNet's website, there is a category of opportunities there that you can just click opportunities. So one of the things I like about it is that they've been able to sort it out. The first one is the ones that the submission deadlines are fast approaching. So online conference on journalism in the African diaspora, you can register. So this one is closing soon. I think this is today, November 18th. So if you quickly want to, I can quickly get this. It contains, once you see information like this, once you click it, you know where to apply, you know what to do. For instance, okay, let me click this one that is ending today. So it comes out like this. Then there will be a snippet of the information needed. Then you will now see link to where you can get further information about that particular position. So please, if you go to any of these pages, you can see the where you can just enter your email and subscribe to the IGNet newsletter. So it's a really effective tool that I've used severally. So we've talked about the IGNet newsletter. We've talked about the IGNet website. So another good tool that I use a lot, Twitter, social media. Twitter, people rant, people discuss, people argue on Twitter, but it's also a very good tool for job hunting. And so when you look at Twitter, for instance, the first thing I would advise you to do is if there are media organizations, media houses that you desire to write for, don't just follow the official handle of those media platforms. Endeavor to find out the editors of the section that you desire to write for and follow that editor on Twitter, because many times they actually announce what they are looking for. And a good example for me was one of the opportunities that I've gotten through Twitter is the British Medical Journal, BMJ. So the British Medical Journal is a very high-end publication. So I was just on social media the other day when because I've been following the editor for a while, because I just saw that he posted that they needed something, a very urgent story, maybe someone can quickly submit, is looking for ideas, story ideas. And so that was how I got to know that there was a vacancy there. It wasn't something that was officially announced. Okay, let me share my screen so that you can. Okay, so this is the story I wrote for the British Medical Journal, and the journey for this story started on Twitter. The editor said, okay, I'm trying to look at something. I'm trying to get, I need a story ideas. So that happens a lot for several media platforms. So the editors just go on Twitter and just say, okay, are there journalists there? And from the first engagement I've had, I think I've written several additional stories for the British Medical Journal based on this approach. So what I do, like I said, follow the editors, not just the media outlet. The British Medical Journal will not tweet on the official handle that they are looking for writers. It is the editors that will call for that. So in addition to that, I think you should also follow professional associations. What link are you looking for? What link do you want me to share? Please, okay, I think I've shared the IJNet. So go to ijnet.org/en and you will be able to navigate the IJNet. While for these ones is Twitter. So each media outlet that you desire to write for, do your research. Who are the editors for that outlet and follow them on Twitter. So I said, in addition to following editors, also follow professional organizations. Because I cover science beats, so organizations like the World Federation of Science Journalists, WFSJ, they always, okay, I think I should just show you instead of saying too much. This is expected to be a practical, so please let me show you what I'm trying to talk about, what I'm talking about there. Oh, sorry. Nigeria has a ban on Twitter. So my Twitter page may not load easily without using a VPN. So I'm sorry. So if you go to Twitter, wherever you are, and search for these organizations that I just listed, for instance, this is WFSJ, World Federation of Journalists. They are always tweeting. They regularly share information on new positions for science journalists, and you can keep track of that. Also, the GIJN are also regularly tweet opportunities. They share opportunities on Twitter. Please follow them. There's also the Reuters Institute. In addition to jobs, they also tweet fellowship positions, follow them. And there is this one, journalism jobs, or journalism underscore jobs. I think this one is for UK, is UK focused. But once in a while, they also retweet stuff. I think the way the algorithm of the social media platform also works, if you are looking for stuff there, if it sees you are following these handles, it would also recommend similar handles, and recommend such recommendations are also really, really important, so you can continue to see and expand your horizon. You can get positions from. Then two tools that I think are quite underrated for many individuals that are talking about journalism positions. The tools include LinkedIn and the LinkedIn and Google. And I'm going to show you how they both work now. I know it will be surprising and shocking for many people to agree with me that you can actually get journalism positions on LinkedIn. But it's true. Many journalism positions are actually posted on LinkedIn. So let's see what we can get. So if you go to LinkedIn, just the way you are searching for regular jobs or any platform, any other platform, is the way you see any other platforms like LinkedIn or even indeed.co.uk or indeed.com for global things. I've also seen journalism ads on this particular platform. So please endeavor. I'm trying to see if I can show you how this works on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has a jobs, while if this doesn't load properly well, okay, I think we are here. Let me share my screen with you. Yeah. I'm just trying to get as much as I can do. So there is this small icon over here called jobs. So if you can see this small icon called jobs, what you just do is that you click it. And if you set up your profile very well on LinkedIn, it knows who you are, the kinds of positions you are. So what it will just do is that it will populate jobs that are very close to you. So because it knows I'm a writer, as you can see, suggested job searches, it knows that I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, so it is going to bring similar jobs that are relevant, even without me searching for anything. As you can see what I did, I only clicked the jobs icon on LinkedIn, and because it knows that my profile is set as a journalist, so it's brought out and it sets most of the time it looks at the location, your last location. The last time I was searching for this, I was searching for, so it brings out what are relevant to me, as you can see. So even without even searching for anything. So LinkedIn is a really, really good job search tool for journalists. And as you can see, so because I said I'm a science journalist, so it's just giving me science related positions. And it's really, really, these are really, really good for me. So ensure that your link file is really, really good, is well set up, so that immediately you also click something like that, it also gives you that. So another thing that the other option I want to show you now is Google. So when Google is even quite interesting for me. So the first thing you just do is that just try journalist job near me. So it's going to automatically find your location. It's going to automatically find your location and populate journalism jobs that are very close to you. On Google, as you can see, Because currently, as you can see, I'm currently in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. So it is that good that it brings some job searches to your location. So BBC is looking for a broadcast journalist. So all these are really needed. So if I also want to tweak it, there is a way I can tweak the location. If I no longer want it to be, as you can see, if you there is a title, if I just want journalist, if you want reporter, editor, writer, if you want to change the location to from 25 kilometers around you to anywhere, you can actually still do that. So I don't know the reason why many journalism jobs or websites are not really hammering on this. It's a really beautiful tool that I actually discovered by chance. And I encourage you to play around with these tools, localize them, and use them to the best of your ability. Wow, a lot of questions and we are running out of time. So what should I do? Should I take the questions or should I finish? I think I will try and wrap up so I can quickly take them. So like I said, in addition to these, what's something that I think is also important for you as a journalist to have is something I call a one-page so that you know there are two things important in journalism job applications: your CV, so that you can convince the journalists that you experience what you've done, where you work, who you've worked with, and the kinds of stories you've written. And the other one are your samples. So sample links. It's not your degree. It's not your certificate that are topmost for you to do anything to get jobs. Those two things are important. But for me, I use a one-page CV because I know editors are very busy. So I got that particular template that I use from, I think, office.com, which is office.com as a template for CV. So I got one-page CV. I think I have it here. Let me show you what mine looks like. So this is if I'm applying for a position, this is what I send out. And it contains my work experience. I arrange them alphabetically. Every time I write a new gig, every time I write a new story for another outlet, I quickly integrate it, incorporate or add that particular new media outlet into this so that it's not cumbersome for me. But some journalists do have tens of several different profiles and for a different position. So, but it's important for you to keep it short and simple. This is everything I'm sending that person, and it is able to contain everything that I do, and so that in one quick view, the person reviewing my application can quickly see it. So if you have a 10-page CV, please go and discard it and condense it into a one-page CV. Another thing that I really want to talk about before I quickly take as much questions as I can take is you getting relevant writing samples. It is really important. You cannot say you want to apply for a health journalism position and you are now submitting banking stories on banking and finance. You cannot say you are trying to get an infectious disease reporting gig, but your sample pieces are on agriculture or they are on totally unrelated issues. So please endeavor to get relevant writing samples. Let me tell you a secret. When I went to Glasgow, it was for a fellowship, and most of those fellowships, almost every fellowship will ask for samples that you've written on that particular topic. So if you desire to prioritize to be getting positions or opportunities in healthcare, in health journalism, so please, even before you start applying, endeavor to have at least 2 or 3 top quality pieces, standard pieces that you can always refer to and use as your sample, so that when they have an idea of who you are as a journalist, they can see the kinds of work that you've done. I know it's really, really, really crazy or cumbersome for you to have samples on everything. That is why I told you when I was starting that try as much as possible to prioritize a particular genre of writing, a particular beat of related beats, so that you know that is your specialty and you are not jumping from music, journalism to art, to economics and to science, because you would need top quality samples for all of these beats to be able to assess opportunities. And when you are reaching out, to endeavor to write original mails. Avoid mass sending copied and pasted emails to several editors. If you are a journalist, you are telling stories, you should be able to tell, describe what you want to do in unique ways that are peculiar to you alone, that the person can have a better grasp, that you know what you are saying. So take it as an intentional thing. If you've been doing this, it's wrong, please stop it. Yeah, you can have a format that you use, but always edit that template for pitching that you use so that it's best, it looks fresh, it looks original, and it looks unique and peculiar for the opportunity that you are applying for. And yeah, so I think that is how far I can go with this. And there are lots of questions already, even though we are running. Asia, somebody said it's absolutely not possible to shorten your CV into one page. I want you to take that challenge. I challenge you that it's possible. It's absolutely possible. You don't have to put links to your stories. You don't have to put links to your stories in the CV. That is for the sample section. And if you use the kind of templates that I use, I think it partitions it into sections. Try and challenge yourself to try to and do it. Yes, Canva is really, really good. Hello, can you repeat the name? I think the cover letter, I think I mentioned it already, it has to be an original email. So I think the samples for the templates that I mentioned, for the CV templates that I mentioned, is office.com. So if you go to office.com, you are going to really get as much template as you have. Now, I want to challenge you. I think you can do it. Try, just try. Go and look for one page. You don't have to put everything. Don't forget, you don't have to put everything. Just try. It's possible. It's doable. I've worked with journalists. Once they have to flip pages to understand you, then I know if it's working for you, fine. But I think you should just take that challenge and try it and share your end product with me. So let me see as much questions as I can take. So Ashimbrian wants to know, how should young journalists approach freelancing in the bright beginning days of their careers? Any tips? Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So Erica's question is distracting. Let's for somebody that is just starting off in journalism, I think you should, for me, I've been writing since my high school days. So it has always been ladder, one step after another. So there will always be opportunities at different levels. That's why I said, know the levels that you have in your career. If you're a very, very good writer, I think for me, when I wanted to start out, I worked with some colleagues to start a health news platform that continues to still run today, healthnews.ng. So because I'm part of the editorial team, I was able to actually have a channel to put my pieces on, a platform to put my pieces on. And I use that links to now start applying for new opportunities as well. So see journalism, your journalism career as one step after another. You are climbing the ladder. So one step with one set of samples will take you to the next level in your journalism career. So please and please, that is really, really important. What is the most in application which will ensure less rejection? Authenticity. So authenticity is really, really important. Originality is important. Knowing what you are doing is important. Having clear focus of what they are looking for and you perfectly aligning yourself with that is also important. Knowing what you want, what you want to write on is really, really important. And samples, expertise, experience, knowing that you are best qualified for that position is really important. And so this question is about media outlets like that have global face, whether journalists working with them have better opportunity. I think is the higher your experience, the better you have. But it doesn't mean that if you are extremely good, if you are very good at what you do, you will not also have a fighting chance. For instance, let me tell you my experience in working with global media outlets. They are always in search of local stories. For instance, if you are based in Ghana and the editorial company, the editor, the office, the media organization is based in Washington, D.C., they would rather prefer getting a qualified and professional Ghana-based journalist to do the story than somebody that is based in London or in their office there. So that gap is still there. There will always be international organizations, media outlets that are looking for local stories from your region. So that market is still there. So no person across in a distant location can do that story better than you. Okay. Do you have any advice on journalistic portfolios? Yes, this is really, really good. I think there is a way you can curate your story, your portfolio. And I found out it was quite interesting now I found out. So what I used is Linktree. I think I should share my screen again so that you have an idea what I'm saying. So instead of having everything in your CV, I was able to design something for myself on Linktree. Let me show you what my Linktree looks like. But while it loads, let me quickly drop the link there so that you can actually sign up for yourself. So this is mine. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can set yourself up. This is how I curate my portfolio. So in addition to that, this is the link that is on my bio on Twitter, is what I have on my Instagram. So you can actually see it contains my Facebook page, my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my serves at ICFJ, the pieces I've written in Nature. If you just click one, it takes you here to where my stories are. So as you can see, it will take you to my stories in Nature. So that works. So then in the Lancet, if you want to read my pieces in the Lancet, so you can actually beautifully curate Linktree so that it links you create a portfolio for yourself. And as you can see, my pieces in BMJ, DevX, Health Policy, so all the media outlets in one single page, you can actually have your portfolio there. And I hope that is but there are some people that actually design websites. I also actually bought my URL, pauladepoju.com, although I've not really had time to now start putting links on it. But Linktree is a very, very good tool for you to share your portfolio. And John, I think I've answered Ashim's. So Erika, potentially is also good. So would you recommend to link all my articles in your CV? Erika, don't link all your articles in your CV. Put all your articles on your portfolio platform. You can either, if you can pay, buy your domain name, but I think I find it much easier working with Linktree. When we speak about relevant, what do you consider as relevant by time? How old maximum should they be? Yeah, this is a very good question. When you are sending out samples, how relevant, the age, the duration, how should it be? I think just put up your best, most recent pieces, your best, most recent pieces. But I don't think the duration is the issue. I think is the relevance of the sample to the focus of the position you're applying for. So you can have a very beautiful, very recent piece on health, but the position is in tech. So it's better you use your top quality tech piece for that position, even if it's about 6 months ago. For instance, the fellowship that took me to Glasgow, I used a climate change story, an environment story that I wrote for CNN about 3 years ago. That was, okay, about 2 years ago, sorry. And that was what got me there. I was also able to prove that even though that's been a while that I've reported that issue, but I can still relate with the latest development in it. In my cover letter, I was able to convince them that, okay, this is how I do my thing. This is how I'm able to still keep up to date and still be able to write, even though it has been a while that I've written on this subject. So I think it's really, really important. That is what I'm going to recommend for you. Okay, the relative materials you have to put in your application. Everything they asked for in the application, please give it to them. If they want your name, if they want your, if they want 4 samples, give them 4 samples. If they want CV, give them CV. Because there is a checklist for every candidate. If they ask for 4 things and you were only able to give them 2, you've already scored yourself low. So endeavor you read thoroughly and give them everything they ask for. Okay. Hi, Paul. Do you have any tips for asking for recommendation from editors? Yes. I think you should just be sincere with them about what you want to use it for, what you need for, uh, what you need that recommendation for. And it's only an editor that you've been nice to, that you've been able to, you were easy, that the editor found you easy to work with, that would give you a recommendation letter. So that's why I said initially that it is important for you to work really well with the editor so that you can always have additional added advantages. So it's really nice to be a nice person generally. I don't think there is nothing that can be wrong with you being a nice person. So please and please, so that when you interact with them, you can easily say, please, I need a letter. Can you just be direct? There is no conning. Don't do it cunningly. Just be direct. Tell them what you want to use it for. If they agree with you, yes. If they don't, then move on to the next person. So do you have any advice for journalists who struggle with videography? As someone whose strong suit is writing alone, it's something that concerns me about the requirement of modern day journalism. This is also a very, very good question. I personally am I'm personally I call myself a backpack journalist. I write, I record, I take, and I'm also able to shoot very good videos too. So I think you should just be able to decide for yourself if you can also go around, do all this. It's all about quality. Watch standard footages, top quality footages. How do they do it in top quality outlets? What will you need for you to do that? And try as much as possible to adapt to it. Even though I went to COP26 as a journalist, I also took my camera along and I took pictures that I put on Shutterstock, and I'm already getting revenues from it. Even though I call myself a journalist, media houses are actually buying my photos to use in their stories. So that is why it's really good for you to know what the standard for each category is, for each profession is, for which each engagement is, get the tools that you need and get to work on it. So that's what I'm going to advise you to do. Ashim, thank you for your compliment. Yeah. So Ms. Bao is asking, I cover health stories for some time now, and I wanted covering science-based, but finding it a bit difficult to have a niche in science. What advice would you give me? Okay, what I'm going to give you is that flow with the wave. Personally, too, I used to do health stories only before. But when I began to work with Nature, the science journal Nature, there is a Nature Africa science journal, and an opportunity to write something on quantum physics came up. I've never had the concept of quantum physics is very, very boring. So what I just had to do was to read, understand. I interviewed the experts to break the concepts down so I could easily relate with it. Then I did the story and it was published. So you as a journalist, your job is to report stories to people so that they can easily understand it. So do not leave your sources until they convince you and easily make the abstract concepts very easy for you to understand. So that's what I'm going to advise you to do. And we do recommend we mention our first byline in a niche magazine to show that our work has been published before. Yeah, I think you should. You should be able to show your relevance. Of course, that's what I do. Is a trick. Every editor wants to work with somebody that they know will not waste their time. So if you work with a standard publication, you can say, hi, I have a format in my head. If I'm applying for a position, I say, hi, I'm Paul Adepoju. I'm a freelance journalist with previously published pieces in these particular publications, so, and so. And so while I'm mentioning those outlets, I hyperlink the link that goes directly to my piece. Then that's the end of the bragging. They can click if they want to click. Then you now go and localize it and personalize it. Tell them about the announce what you're applying for, how you are best suited for it. So I think as a writer, it shouldn't be the only thing that you are promoting. It should just be as if something like, just by the way I've written this, so it's not the center of your application. Now, the first person says, if they ask for 5 years of experience and I only have 3, should I apply? If you have sufficient bylines, if you have sufficient bylines on that subject, I think you should go ahead and apply. I don't think that's something that comes. 5 years is just to show you, to give you an indication of how much experience they require for somebody that is applying for that position. So if over the years you've been able to write and do a lot of stories on that beat, on that genre, I think you should just convince them that even though it's just 3 years that you've been in the profession, in covering the beats, that you are still qualified for it. Or you can also find some things that you've been doing for the preceding 2 years. If you've been working elsewhere as a journalist or writing something else, you can still combine them together if you still want to make that 5 years to work. So that is what I'm going to recommend. How often? Damn, these questions are really not stopping, man. These questions are not ending anytime soon. Oh, negotiating pay with international outlets for a story for which the journalist can do the writing as well as photography, and in case shoot and edit a video. Really good question. There are several. I've done such a lot that I wrote a story and I also shot the pictures. I think most international outlets, they have standard fees. So you have to ask, please, how much do you do per story? I think I can show you something I did that is similar to that, if I can. So you just, okay, I think it was in January, it was for QZ that I did it. So what I just did in this situation, yeah, I think this story is up here. I can share with you. So what I did in this situation is that most outlets, most in the standard outlets will tell you. So this story, I wrote the story and I also took all of the pictures. Surprisingly, None of the pictures you are seeing in this story was taken with a camera. Everything was taken with my phone. So it was a story about railway. It for QZ. And so I took all the pictures. So there is a different fee for the written story, and there is a separate fee for each of the picture. So everything you are seeing there was taken with my phone. So what you just have to do is to find out. So ask them, please, what is your per picture rate? There are media outlets that pay very small per picture. There are some that pay a lot per picture. And there are also some that would actually not pay anything differently. I have clients too that do not pay per picture for pictures. So you should you should have that conversation and let them know so that you are not in the dark. Everybody knows where it is. So another question, how often should we reach out to places? How often should we reach out to places we have applied to in order to follow up? Please and please, I think following up is not the problem, but how you follow up. So I think what I usually do is that if I want to follow up, I'll just send a message. Hi, how are you doing? And just be casual, be formal, be relatable. Don't just, so by the way, I just want to follow up. Has any decision been made yet regarding the application I have? It's about the way you write. It's not following up is a problem, but how you follow up. Not you just in the first line. How far with the no, just make the word uh, uh less serious. Okay, Arinze, I didn't quite get the aspect where you talked about including story links to our CV. I didn't say story links. I said the outlets that you've worked for. Now create a portfolio URL that contains your links, how you want to arrange them, and now put the link for the portfolio in your CV. Then one last advice, don't send CVs in MS Word, in Office, Microsoft Office, no. Send it in PDF version such that the link pops up and they can easily click it. Please, I think nobody should be sending CVs again in MS Word. Create it in MS Word, curate it there, and send it out as PDF so that they can easily click it. So have a web-based portfolio and put the link in your CV so that if they want to know more about your piece, they can easily click it and go forward from there. Wow, so many questions. What tips would you give someone looking to enter into the science and environment niche? I'm in the final year of my journalism undergrad, but I've only been able to gain experience in lifestyle art and culture writing until now. Like I said, it doesn't have to be the biggest outlet. Find an outlet that is willing, that you can just, they may not pay you much, but it will be important for you to have samples. So reach out to a media outlet that is very close to you. As long as the story is really, really good, it doesn't have to be extraordinary. So this person says, Paul, how did you pitch to big outlets such as CNN as a freelancer? I've indirectly said it. Okay, for my CNN gig, it was, okay, yeah, this is a good thing you do that I did. So when they announce, when a media outlet announces a new editor, so what I just do is that the person will first say, yes, if you go on Twitter, official announcement, thanks, I've just joined this outlet and I would like to work with these kinds of editors. So I usually walk through the editor. So that person made the announcement, dropped the email. I know in the first 24 hours, that email address will be bombarded with people that just quickly want to jump on it. I usually say back a little and let those that want to quickly rush do the rushing. So like 3 days later, when you know the person's inbox is now coming down from the pressure and the sieving has already been done, I'll not come in as a, as if you are leaning back and you're now coming in with a well thought email congratulating the person, yes, and expressing your interest, the kinds of stuff you want to work on. So that is the approach that I did for CNN. They announced a new editor. I reached out and explained my interest. We were able to agree, and we were able to work together. So that is how I did it. That was how I did it. Sorry. What do you recommend if you've worked in other sectors besides journalism? And if yes, if it doesn't matter, if I tell you my background, you'll be shocked. I came from a research science background. Okay. So I wasn't, so it doesn't mean just start writing, be getting your pieces out there. It's not a sin for you to have come from other backgrounds, but you have to be able to demonstrate that you're actually good at journalism. Please share the link of the session. Okay. I think, okay, Anisha says, if an editor ghosted me for a story they didn't send fee for, says years ago, how should the editor look to reestablish connection with that editor? Okay, if you had a previously bad relationship with an editor, what I usually do is that ask them if they will be available for a call. For instance, a Zoom call, so that you just catch up. You like to catch up, and maybe you say you want to rebuild that relationship. If the person is willing, I don't think anybody would actually say no to an ordinary call. So have that call and share insights. So guys, these are lots of questions, and I think let's take this because we've already gone beyond the time allotted for this session. Let's go to the ICFJ Global Health Crisis Reporting Forum's Facebook page to continue the conversation so that we can have time. So thank you much once again for joining us today. I'm really excited, and I know I've been able to answer as much as I can. Those questions I couldn't answer, please bring them to me on the Facebook group. So go to Facebook and search for ICFJ Global Health Crisis Reporting Forum, and I'm going to respond to them, and I'm going to give you guidance to the best of my ability. And if you also need more resources, please visit the IJNet website on www.ijnet.org for more resources and opportunities that I've also shared. And so thank you for joining us today. Next week will be an exciting edition, as we'll be looking at a unique story, a unique perspective. So if you have been curious about what works on radio, humanizing health stories for radio, we'll be hosting an expert that will be facilitating this session. So thank you very much for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of the day. So we are out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye.